Well, unfortunately, rain and first bad light, and then rain has interrupted what was turning out to be a fascinating session of Test match cricket. Tides turning completely, tables turning completely after lunch and a period of play. That was just madness from India. 3 wickets falling. That's Virat Kohli, Cheteshwar Pujara, Ajinkya Rahane, the engine room you think of this Indian Test batting lineup, and the great Jimmy Anderson doing what he does best. Steve Harmison and VVS Laxman to just try and make sense of that period of play. Let me go to you first, Stephen. Jimmy Anderson, my goodness, he's something, isn't he?
He is something. Yeah, yeah, 30. He's in his 40th year, and it's
Yeah.
just crazy. Not only how good this guy is, how good he's been, his will to get better, his will to want to improve, his desire to compete at the top level. And he was magnificent. Again, you give him favourable conditions, and I think he's just shown why he's the greatest. He put the ball in the right area in the first session, like we said at lunchtime, that England, because we've got such a small margin of error, because of the score that England got in the first innings, couldn't really go to the Indian batsmen. But it was a case of when they can go to the Indian batsmen, then they will. And when the favourable conditions come, and Jimmy Anderson has done it time and time again for England. I would imagine Virat Kohli would be disappointed in the shot he played, even though in England, Dinesh Karthik tried to stick up for him on commentary over in England. But I'm sorry, Dinesh, you might be a mate, but I think Virat will be disappointed the way he's gone. Dismissed in that, but Jimmy Anderson was absolutely brilliant.
Lakshman, what happened after lunch?
Well, what you expect from a quality bowler, and it's not when the conditions are in his favor. I saw that spell in Chennai, when the ball was reversing and India were in good, formidable position. And then immediately he came and took a couple of wickets. I think he also got rid of Ajinkya Rahane. Before that, he got the wicket of Shubman Gill. And that's why he's probably the all-time great for me. I think it's not only the skill he possesses, but the kind of attitude, the kind of approach, and the kind of mental toughness he has is definitely going to be inspirational, a role model for younger bowlers. They can learn a lot from Jimmy Anderson, and I think Joe Root is really blessed to have such a match winner at his disposal, because when the chips are down, either in batting department or bowling department, you look towards your most experienced player. And in the bowling department, it is Jimmy Anderson, and time again, he changes the complexion of the game just through his effort and his approach and attitude. And I thought India also let themselves down, after having that wonderful start in the first session. Rohit Sharma just getting out before lunch, and then Pujara I thought was tentative. Virat Kohli also I felt should have left the delivery, because if you see the dismissal, if you see the replay, you see the angle of the bat, it was open and it was probably on the 4th or 5th stump, which we saw Virat Kohli leaving and showing the discipline in 2018. And I just felt Ajinkya Rahane was too restless at the wicket. He was lucky to survive that run out before, and then there was no need to take that suicidal run. So overall, I think England will be really pleased to pull back things just through sheer brilliance from Jimmy Anderson.
I mean, he single-handedly just injected life into a test match that you thought was only heading one way. The greatness of Jimmy Anderson, my goodness. All right, let's go bit by bit into those wickets, right? I'd like for Lakshman to break down from the batter's perspective, and Steve, of course, to tell us more about the balls itself from James Anderson. Let's start with Pujara. Lakshman, what's gone wrong there? We have seen a pattern of dismissals for Pujara on the balls coming in, but what's happened there? What's your analysis?
Yeah, I think first it was a terrific delivery, and that's why Jimmy Anderson is so difficult to play, especially when the ball is moving, because he bowls wide of the crease, gets the ball into the right-hander, and just it holds its line. I have brought out to him a couple of times in 2011, because as a batsman, you think that the ball is going to come in, and you almost prepare yourself for the delivery coming in. But just the way it leaves the batsman, and that's exactly why Pujara got out. And this become a pattern for Pujara. We've seen in Australia, the way Pat Cummins got his dismissal. We saw in the World Test Championship final, the way Jamieson got him out in the second innings, because Pujara just hangs his bat. There's no conviction and commitment in playing the defensive shot, which we saw from Pujara early on in his career. So it was definitely a wicket-taking delivery. And then Virat Kohli, as I just mentioned, Usually you expect Virat Kohli to show the discipline and grit at the start of his innings. I thought again, beautiful delivery, and that's what you expect from Jimmy Anderson. It's not that suddenly he's bowling a magical spell. You prepare for that magical spell. You expect and prepare for those magic deliveries. And I just felt that Virat Kohli should have just left the
Yeah.
delivery. He went towards the ball, opened the face of the bat, and that's why the outside edge was induced.
Okay, Stephen, we've got both from Lakshman now, so you can now take me through both balls. What's Anderson done here? What's to sit back and just be in awe of the skill that he put out there?
Yeah, time after time we're in awe of what Jimmy does with the ball. I thought it was actually good bowling from both ends. I thought Ollie Robinson. We spoke about not many short balls in that first session, but there was a conscious effort to bowl short to Pujara. I think Robinson bowled 3 or 4 short balls at Pujara, got him going over towards off stump, which Jimmy Anderson from the other end exploited and made sure that in and around that off stump. So there was good bowling from either end. I thought it was a good ball, a good catch by Josh Butler coming forward. And I thought, the partnership and the little bit of luck that England didn't have in the first session definitely started well in the second session, because when you look back at it, it was like after about 3 or 4 balls, Robinson had Pujara, LBW giving out on the field and then giving not out, and you're just wondering how's your luck, England? How is your luck, England? Are we going to get anything going in our favour here? Over the course of the first 4 sessions, not much has gone for us, and in the end, Robinson, he bowled a couple of bounces at Pujara, and Jimmy got the outside edge, and then out walks Kohli. Kohli, one of the best batsmen of all time, walks out into an atmosphere which not be something he's not used of. The noise and the crowd and everything going in England's favour, and he's ready for Anderson. That's what he said before the Test match started. He's ready for Anderson. It's going to be the Anderson of 2014, or is it going to be the Kohli of 2018? And I thought Virat Kohli he didn't need to play it. He was lunging well forward, playing away from his body. And you can see Virat does that a lot. He tries to sort of smother the swing, smother the bounce, get the middle of his bat, drop it into sort of extra cover, run down the other end. Kevin Peterson used to do the same for England, and really get your confidence building off the back of a quick single out. This time in swinging and seaming conditions, Jimmy Anderson just got the better of him, and it was a fantastic bit of bowling by the England's all-time great.
So I want to ask you both on Pujara and Kohli, but now since we're discussing Kohli, do you think somewhere, Lakshman, he was too keen, Virat Kohli, to just get bat on ball first up? Is how much of that can be put down to Kohli as an error of judgment where you'd expect him to leave it? Or is that just the sort of ball that you're instinctively, you do want to play?
No, I don't think so that Virat Kohli was too much focusing on putting bat onto ball, or take that early single and go to the non-striker end. It was just that angle which Jimmy Anderson creates, which forces the batsman to play at the ball. The best way was to play with the full face of the bat instead of opening the face of the bat. Because even then the edge wouldn't have carried to the slip cordon or to the wicket keeper. I think that's the angle Jimmy Anderson creates. And one a great thing which I found from Jimmy Anderson is how quickly he learns from the errors he makes before. Because we discussed during the lunch break that I thought that Jimmy Anderson bowled too wide in the first spell. This morning, because the ball, when you see the pitch map, was probably on the 5th stump. But straight away, he tried to attack and try to hit the top of off stump, and that's when, irrespective of whether the ball is moving or not, just through sheer skill, Jimmy Anderson can trouble the best of batsmen.
Did conditions suddenly just change after lunch, Steve? Or was that just all down to the skill of Anderson?
Very similar. In the first session, I think it was just England bowled a bit straight. And sometimes, you have a conversation at lunchtime when you're all together and you're chewing the fat, and sometimes feeling sorry for yourself and thinking, you know what, we bowled all right there. We put the ball in some decent areas. They're not getting away from us. I think what they were going at 2 and a bit and over, no real damage. You've got the good wicket of Rohit Sharma just on the break of lunch. We keep stick to our guns, make sure we keep putting the ball in them sort of lengths. If anything, we can bowl a bit straighter. Like we said at lunchtime, look at what Mohammad Shami did in that first session of the first day. He bowled 7 overs for 9 runs, bowled a touch wide, then got a bit straighter, got his just rewards. I think England looked at that, thought this is the way we have to go, and the game didn't get away from him in that first session, which gives them a chance. If they do get a couple of quick wickets, then they're right back into the game. And I thought that's how the conversation would have gone in the dressing room at halftime, at lunchtime. And is there anybody better in the world in English conditions to exploit them than Jimmy Anderson? And that's what England did.
Okay, on Pujara, VVS, there seems to be now almost, it doesn't even give you the impression that he's going to bat the big long innings that he used to. From what you've seen from the Pujara that scored 300s in Australia, on the last tour, who scored 100 in England, who found ways to succeed. Has something gone wrong from what you see in Pujara that he's finding this way of just getting out again and again?
Well, I think there is definitely a technical glitch. There's no doubt about it because his feet are planted on the crease. And the moment you do that, you always don't have control over your hands, and you always hang the bat. Especially when you're not sure or you're indecisive. And that's exactly what has happened to Pujara in Australia. It has happened to him even against the spinners, against whom we always felt that Pujara is positive, aggressive, and dominating in that series against England at home. And also in the 2 innings he played in the World Test Championship final. But I think in this innings, I think it's too early to judge whether he's gone with the same mindset, because I thought it was a brilliant delivery. And we just hope that he doesn't have a cluttered mind, because whenever there's a string of low scores and you're low in confidence, the important thing for any batsman is to be very clear as far as his thought process is concerned. And the experience Pujara has got, I'm sure that's the kind of attitude, mindset with which he will bat. And that's what we hope to see in the upcoming test matches, and hopefully from the second innings of this test match.
All right. Now, Ajinkya Rahane. Now, for a run out, often you don't tend to fall batters, but correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, you do fall batters.
Sorry, I forgot who I'm talking to. Yes, of course, Laxman. Yes. No, but I'll be honest. It's not the first time for a player who's played a lot of Test cricket that when Rahane comes in, sometimes when he comes in the middle of a storm, he does look restless or he does look too eager. Is that something you observe, that sometimes Rahane just is too restless and just finds a way to get out?
Yeah, I mean, see, he's always been that kind of batsman. Even when the chips are down, you see Rahane playing a lot of shots. Some other batsmen take their time, just absorb the pressure, and have a very clear game plan, which areas to play the shots or which area to leave the deliveries. But Rahane always sort of counter attacks, looks to play the shots, and as the inning progresses, you see the calmness coming back. You see him becoming more calm and composed. Whereas today, right from the word go, he looked very tentative, he looked very restless, and he was lucky to survive, because if that would have been a direct hit from Johnny Bairstow, he would have been out. While he got 4 overthrows for that. And then even though KL Rahul just took off, but immediately he called. And in fact, Rahane was the one who was running towards the danger area. So even if KL Rahul as a striker wanted to take that run, Rahane, because he was going towards the danger area, should have told no, and shouldn't have even thought about that single, because the kind of situation the team was in, you don't want to have a run out. You want to build a partnership. And that's why I just felt that Rahane was very restless. And when you're restless, you always make wrong choices. Your decision making is definitely hampered.
All right. Well, panic certainly seemed to have set in for that brief period of play. And such a shame that weather and bad light had to come in the way of it. But now that Anderson has got Kohli first ball, is this now a great start to what could be again a contest for the rest of the tour? Has this given England or Jimmy Anderson some kind of psychological edge, Steve, against Kohli? And on the other hand, is this something now that Kohli will carry on for the rest of the series? Are we in for another contest?
I really hope we're in for another contest, because I think if we are, then we're going to have a fantastic series. I think what we are going to have I think the contest between the bat and the ball in England, I think, is going to be largely down to how good the ball is. We look at the series as a whole. There's some I would say poor batting techniques on show, with some very, very fine bowling in English conditions. So I can't see there be many massive scores. I don't think 450, 500 will be hit. I don't think there'll be big hundreds because of the way things, the English conditions and the strength and the depth and the quality of the bowling unit. And the one thing that we've talked about many times, is it Root versus Kohli? Well, it could come down to that, and it could be how India bowl at Root and how England bowl at Kohli, and it's largely with Jimmy Anderson. He's got him first ball. Is it a psychological edge? I'm not really that sure, because how good Virat Kohli is as a player. I'm sure he'll put this to one side, go and hit some balls tomorrow morning, come back tomorrow or the next year, and it'll be a decluttered mind of Virat Kohli. And if Jimmy Anderson's straight on, which I would imagine he will be, I don't think there'll be too much in Virat's mind. I think there's too much water under the bridge with a contest between Anderson and Kohli over the course of 2014 and 2018 to know that this is two great competitors going head to head. You're going to have a winner. You're going to have a loser. Today it's Jimmy Anderson. Tomorrow it might be Virat Kohli. I think both players are experienced enough to know that whoever's on the losing side will come back stronger the next time.
Well, the way things are going, tomorrow it could be Rishabh Pant. VVS, are you getting that sort of impression? If we're not going to see a lot of 400s, that you're going to look at different kind of impact innings that could make a difference. You could have a quick fire 50, 60 that might make the difference. What are we expecting in this test match from the evidence of 100 overs now? And if we don't have any more play on day 2, what do we expect India to do tomorrow with Rahul, Set and Rishabh Pant at the crease?
I think I expect both of them to continue playing the way they're playing. With KL Rahul, even though you would be lucky that simply dropped him, which I thought should have been taken at second slip. And Rishabh Pant will play his natural game, and he's been given the license from team management out and play his natural game. And because once he backs his instincts, that's when Rishabh Pant is the most dangerous batsman he can be. But I just hope that he learns from the way he batted in the second innings of World Test Championship final. Playing your natural game doesn't mean that you keep stepping out and throwing your bat at everything which comes your way. It's about knowing which area to be positive and which area or which length or line to be little defensive and respect the good deliveries. And that's what we saw from Rishabh Pant in Sydney, in Brisbane, and that's what we saw in Ahmedabad and in Chennai as well. So I think that's the kind of mental approach I'm expecting from Rishabh Pant, because you will never see Rishabh Pant playing a subdued knock. He's got the clarity, he's got that license, and I'm sure that he will go and express himself.
What are we expecting this slight extra rain to do on the surface, Steve? It seems like a lot of rain forecast today, some for tomorrow too. How will that affect this pitch?
I don't think it'll affect it too much. I think the cover was I was disappointed when they came off. I really was. I was throwing things at the telly and saying things I can't actually say right now, because I'm like, you know what? Yesterday, the fans, which we've waited 2 years now to get fans back inside stadiums. We bowled 78 overs yesterday in an uninterrupted day. It's wrong. It is just wrong. Something's got to happen with the ICC to sort this out, because it was just wrong, totally wrong. Today we've gone off. Lights are on. Modern day generation lights. These teams are used to playing under in this sort of light, whether they're playing with red ball, white ball, and we walk off. Did we have to come off? Could we keep going? I thought it was a fascinating passage of play, and just to go on to Pant there, another half an hour, and I think we would have had a real indication of where this game was going to finish, because 30 minutes of Pant, India are in a driving seat. England knocked Pant over very, very quickly because he chipped one up in the air, and you exposed Jadeja and Thakur and the bowlers with Anderson with the way it was moving, and you're thinking, right, England could actually get a lead here. So I was gutted when they came off, because I thought something was going. But to answer your question, the rain getting on the pitch, I don't think so, because the cover was on well before the rain started.
Sure.
In England, the outfields, you could have an absolute monsoon, and I mean a real monsoon underwater, and within an hour it'll seep through and it'll be bone dry, because of the outfields in England are so absorbent that the water just goes straight through. So I don't think we'll be losing too much time. The minute it stops raining, we'll be back on the field. And if it's tonight, great. If it's tomorrow, well, we're in for another good day's Test match cricket.
Maybe Lakshman, if you want to add to Steve's point on, we know how it is sometimes frustrating for the fans, but it's only in the hand of the umpires now. There used to be a time where you batters were offered the light and were always happy to take it. Now it's out of their hands. It's the officials that decide it. But
Yeah,
you're
I
right
think
with that.
firstly,
Played on.
no, firstly, I agree with Steve. Because yesterday not to complete the full quota of 90 overs is unacceptable. Especially in this day and age when all the bowlers are supremely fit. You move quickly in between the overs. You want to complete the full quota of 90 overs. Even after giving that extra 30 minutes, if you don't complete, then it's really unfair for the fans. And not only fans at the ground, but fans around the world who are watching the match on television. Whereas today I think it was more to do with bad light. Yeah, it didn't start raining, but I think the umpires will take into consideration what they're seeing, and if at all they feel that it's dangerous, especially because England doesn't have a spinner, and how dangerous it is for the batsmen to face the fast bowlers. And I think they will be very, very consistent as far as the reading is concerned, and the reading which they have taken this evening to stop the game. I'm sure that will carry on throughout the test match. I know that it didn't rain, but it was purely because of the light conditions that the umpires took that call of going away from the ground, and stopping the play. But I can understand Steve, and I can understand all the England fans will be really agitated, because that was a time when you felt that 2 or 3 wickets can easily be got, as far as English, bowling was concerned, because all of them were steaming in and bowling in the right areas. The ball was doing all sort of things, and 3 more wickets, you're straight into the tail of the Indian batting lineup. And that's why I'm sure Steve and all the England fans will be disappointed that the play was stopped.
All right. Well, it's a fascinating test match, and even if there is weather that will interrupt it, you get the result more often than not in this series. More when we have play next. Hopefully today. If not today, then tomorrow. So do join us then on ESPN Cricket for Matchday. Big thank you, VVS Laxman and Steve Harmison. Keep an eye out on our live commentary page to just get regular updates on how things are unfolding in Nottingham, and of course on our social platforms as well. We'll be back soon once we have some play.